have a nose wheel, which made life real comfortable for the passengers flying on them. This also, of course, set up as a frame. But, hey. Anyway, I don't know how I got into that. Anyway, we're down from Massachusetts. They call us snowbirds. Of course, so we went down to the beach, and our legs are now bright red. She comes from Scottsdale, Arizona. I took her away from Arizona to move to Massachusetts and suffer through the snow with me. I'm gonna. Here comes the 440 back again, a high-speed pass, and he'll be coming around, getting ready to land as the DC-3 and the fourth tri-motor are going to be ready to take off just a little bit. One thing to tell you, and they flew these both to Oshkosh, Wisconsin for the EAA convention last summer. There's a whole bunch more arriving, but that's number one, number two. It looks like the Sukhoi are timing it just right here on downwind over here. You see them across the airport flying a loose morning. And they're going to be turned in to make a pass right after the conveyor line. Now the DC-3s are down there. They're about to waddle into position, getting ready to take off naval aviator before he became a test pilot for General Motors. And GM in Linden, New Jersey was building this airplane. These airplanes, by the way, all had some kind of significance to paint jobs. And the nose number on that is number 5. Dick's call sign when he was a GM test pilot was Linden 5. This is one of those planes that was basic simplicity. This plane originally was designed as a spy plane, and it became the United States Navy's first mono-wing fighter when built by Grumman. And behind that, it should look kind of familiar to you. Yes, that is an A6M0. And what is it? It's a B-25NK? The torpedo bomber. They're all going to be flying for you in just a little while. Ladies and gentlemen, the airplane that's following that is Coke Stewart from Valdosta, Georgia. In his TBM, this is the Bush Avenger. This is the airplane. The reason they're leaving right now is they've got kids they've got to get back up to school tomorrow. But this is the airplane that you saw in the inaugural parade, and this is the one that is painted exactly as President Bush's airplane was painted when he was in VT-51. Give him a big wave. There's Coke up there waving to you. And you want to take pictures of a beautiful airplane. This is it. This is correct in every detail of the Avenger that Lieutenant J.G. George Bush flew in VT-51. And matter of fact, where Coke's hand is hanging out of the over the canopy right there, you can see the name is lettered there right on the side of the airplane. We have a whole bunch of Avengers we're going to be flying for you a little bit later on this afternoon.
Each one? All right.
Taking off right now is the Piedmont Airlines DC-3. This is one of the airplanes that Piedmont actually flew and still flew back in the late 30s. And this, of course, was the successor to the DC-2, and as a matter of fact, yes, there was a DC-1. Piedmont Airlines, of course, now is owned by U.S. Air. That here is the oldest metal-skinned airplane flying in the world. And you'd fly across the country overnight, in which you might not really be bored stiff by the time you got back. The airplane would make a number of stops, and you'd be in California the next morning just in time for breakfast, and you'd be dying of hunger by the time you got there. This is also kind of strange how quiet this is, isn't it? Oh, we only had a big puddle here, so we can... Avenger, he's going to come around and make a high-speed pass. So if you've got cameras or you're shooting video, save a little bit of film because he's going to make a pass for you. Here comes the Piedmont Airlines DC-3. Great old guy, and he just loves flying the airplane. He sits there and he says, yeah, does everything at 80. Climbs at 80, cruises at 80, glides at 80. And he lives in Newark, Ohio. And he says, I drive up to Ohio, or Ohio, as he says. And he said, we'll be flying along and a pretty good, get a good cold front come through, so we're heading northwest into the wind. And he says, I look down on the road. He said, the autopilot wasn't working right. He says, you fly. And I said, okay. He went in the back. So I'm sitting there flying the thing. We're chugging along about 170 miles an hour, about 8,000 feet, just having a great old time chugging along. And geez, the yoke's getting a little heavy. The nose started to come down a little bit, and I'm holding it back. I said, well, I'll just trim the plane. There you are. Al Cheney and his Ford tri-motor. Look at that thing. The wing of that thing is something like 40 inches deep. That's the cord in the wing. You can actually, he said you could crawl out there while the airplane was in flight. You got so much room. Look at that. I think it's a pretty good-sized windows in that thing, too. By the way, when he flies cross-country, he does the whole thing around 2,000 feet. He says, you know, there's no problem navigating. They don't move the interstates. That's right. That's what you do. You find the interstate and you fly the interstate. It's called the concrete compass. Oh, this to show you what the Drummond Turbo Avenger. And he's waving everybody bye-bye, so wave your hats and wave bye-bye to Coke Stewart in that beautiful airplane. There's the Chalk's Turbo Mallard. I don't know if he's going to land it out of this pass or not. Every time I see this thing flying by, I keep waiting for some little guy to come up to me, tugging at my pant leg and say, "Boss, the plane, the plane!" This is it. That's the plane, the plane. As I'm looking out here to the left side, we've got looks like a Cape torpedo bomber coming in here with a low pass, and we have a Zero following close behind. I believe we are. By early November. September 1941, Admiral Yamamoto had determined a surprise attack in the Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor could effectively neutralize United States military strength in the hemisphere. On December 7th of 41, while Tojo's emissaries continued to negotiate with Secretary of State Cordell Hull, a 31-ship task force commanded by Admiral Nagumo moved within striking distance of Hawaii. Among the ships in the task force were the battleships Hiei and Kirishima, the cruisers Tone, Chikuma, and Abukuma, 9 destroyers and 3 submarines. But this was to be an air attack, and bearing the 350-odd planes that were to carry out the attack were no fewer than 6 aircraft carriers: Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, Hiryu, Shokaku, and Sukaku. At 0600 hours, 230 miles north of Honolulu, the attack code, Climb Mount Niitaka, was received, and the first wave of 3 aircraft, led by Commander Mitsuo Fujita, took off. The attack was a complete surprise. Of the 94 ships in port, only 1 was underway when the first dive bombers hit Hickam and Wheeler Field. In 1 hour, Fujita lost only 9 planes. At 0845, the second wave of 167 aircraft poured in under Commander Shimazaki. Resistance now was more fierce, but the 5 casualties, including more than 2,000 dead when the battleship Arizona took a bomb down her stack, one which blew up in her magazine. All our aircraft carriers were at sea. 5 months later, these carriers and the rapidly rebuilding Navy turned the tide of war in the Pacific at a small coral atoll called Midway. In 1937, the Japanese Imperial Navy Mitsubishi designer Hiro Haki. In October of 1939, the installation of a 925-horsepower Nakajima Sakai gave the design a more than satisfactory 332-mile-an-hour top end. It was designated the Type Zero, carrier fighter Model 11. The Zero achieved Allied pilots hoped the Zero would run out of ammunition because chances were small it would run out of gas. But the Zero's fortunes reflected those of Japan itself. Superiority over Allied fighters at the outset was virtually absolute. This superiority was first promoted and neutralized. From 1943, Mitsubishi designers put on the tools to minimize their growing inferiority. The Lightning and the Hellcat had been designed specifically to counter the Zero, and the appearance of the Corsair forced it into even more of the defensive. The stubby little Wildcat was the Navy's standard fighter when Pearl Harbor was attacked in 1941. Grumman's first Cat was powered by the familiar Pratt & Whitney R-1830, developing 1,200 horsepower. The same engine, which had powered the reliable C-47 Skytrain since 1933. The Wildcat was the slowest of all American, up a formation of 9 Japanese Val torpedo bombers and saving his carrier, the Lexington. On that he replied that it was not possible. He said all he could do was put his feet up on the rudder bar, torque tube, and let the Zero run out of ammunition. Why did he put his feet up? Because the armor plate extended only down to mid-calf. 7,898 Wildcats have been produced by the end of the... Here comes the chase, and it looks like Dick's got a beat on him from the one-port anti-submarine bomber. Hello, Vespa. All right, here comes the Zero back around here. Wait a minute, here's our Wildcat driver. Got his eye on the Zero. Let's see, pulls the thing over, gets the throttle. Oh, wait a minute, we got another Kate coming back here. What happened to the Zero? Hey, Wildcat driver, we got a Zero around here somewhere. You better keep an eye out for him. I'm just looking here now. What happened? Where's our Zero?
May I climb up on your shoulders?
I see. Wait a minute. He says, somebody said check 6. He's turned around now. We got the Wildcat turned around. He's facing up towards the southeast. We got all kinds of airplanes flying around here. And wait a minute. I believe he's got his eye on the Zero. We got another Zero about to start a strafing run out here to the left side. And let's watch. Lieutenant Foote, you see him? All right, come on, crank around. Get the speed up on that thing. Let's hit those triggers. Now, get those guns sparking at him here. Come on, get those guns sparking. He's firing on him. At least we got a hit. I don't know if we got a kill or not. Yeah, guys, trailing smoke. He's at it. Come back down here. It's a little too early for kamikazes here, friends, but guys, you're going to take you back out over the water here. Lieutenant Foote is switching the guns again. He's going to make real sure this guy doesn't get to fly that Zero back to the boat. The FM2 Wildcat is faded in the... here comes the Wildcat back around for another pass. Let's see how pretty this airplane is. Their buckets and their helmets. They call them brain buckets. Anyway, they put in the helmets, and they have these earphones, and they used to put washers behind the earphones to really press them against their ears to try to damp the noise that exhaust report let rudder down when you added all that power. So the guys would walk around like this. Well, here comes our Sukhois are going out. They're going to be going home, and the pit special that opened our show around the Miller Lite skydiving team is following them out. They're all going to be taking off and going home. Dick and his group are going to be coming back here to land, and if you'd like to know who all we were looking at here today, Dick Foote from New Smyrna Beach. By the way, I'm going to tell you what Dick does. Dick is a businessman. He developed a business a while ago. Little cottage industry is the way it started off, and it turned out to be something that paid off very, very well. You know when you go to the drugstore and you get some medicine, and there's a little sticker they put on the medicine. I love it. You have a little old lady goes in to pick up her, her heart medicine or whatever, and there's a sticker, do not operate heavy equipment. Well, you know those little stickers? Little things that say, drink with plenty of liquids, don't eat for too... Dick's company started making those in his garage a lot of years ago. And now he makes billions and billions of those stickers in every language, including, I think, like Serbo-Croatian. Anyway, that's what his company does. So you wonder how he can afford a beautiful airplane like that, now you know. So that's Dick Foote from, right, Carol? Absolutely. And that's Dick Foote from New Smyrna Beach. Gene Fisher from Carlisle, Pennsylvania, is flying the Zero. And Jim Hansen from Daytona Beach is flying the Kate, the torpedo bomber. And Jim is a retired airline pilot, so this is how he has a good time on the weekend. He comes out and flies in an air show. So there you go. Warplanes International, and they'll be coming down. And where are they going to be loaded? I see that Dick has landed over here. And if you'd like to go look at the airplanes, I see him all over here over your left shoulder. When they shut them down, if you'd like to talk to the pilot, do they have any degrees for them? They used to have hats and all kinds of neat things. Are they doing that anymore? Is that right? Okay, they may have some t-shirts over there, something like that, cap or something. But anyway, if you'd like to t-shirts, of course, the B models by the Navy. There are still a few naval aviation, but that's really the only airplanes that are being, the A's or B's that are being used by the military. The Navy now uses a T-34C. It's this very airplane, but it has a turboprop in it that is derated to 450 shaft horsepower. And this is what the naval aviators was also then, as did the English, and they called it the Harvard. The T-6 actually worked as an attack aircraft during the D-Day invasion of Normandy. It worked off of aircraft carriers. This is the L-19 Cessna Bird Dog. They called it that. It was an observation airplane, or L-19, and a liaison airplane. The liaison being used today to tow, among other things, to tow sailplanes. A formation of T-28. 100-horsepower engine, which was really not enough to help it get out of its own way. Both the Navy and the Air Force decided that if they put a bigger engine in it, it'd work a whole lot better. They did, it did, and the Navy used this airplane until about 6 years ago. It was the airplane the naval aviators first made. Advanced multi-engine trainer and navigational trainer. Also used under the designation C-45 as a transport. Another designed by Piaggio in Italy and manufactured by Focke-Wulf in Germany. Only 270 were built between 1957 and 1960. Here come the T-6s once again. As you look at the T-6 and then look at the Kate replica that's passing by, the Kate was actually built from a Harvard, as was the Zero. Looks very, very much like the North American design. Howard Hughes had designed an airplane specifically for air racing called the Hughes Racer, the H-1, and he tried tried to sell the design to the United States military, and they weren't interested before World War I. And when the Zero started flying, and sold the design. There's Dick taxiing back. The guys from Warplanes International are taxiing their planes back. Bird Dog is designed to be a solo airplane and it's short takeoff and landing. And I have seen them do demonstrations of this when it was an active aircraft in the military inventory, where they would land it over a 50-foot obstacle and still stop it in under 300 feet. And the nice thing is that how did you like the fire over there? Did you like the bombs and everything going on from that kind of thing? I figured that had surprised you. That's why I wanted you to have your camera showing. PA4 down here from DT-21. And it's exactly the same paint job. Ford to C-45. Kansas. Hey! Anybody want to see what a Harrier driver looks like? It's what they look like. I just want you to folks to see, we were talking about the Harrier, the AV-8. Like you were concerned yesterday about the wind, we don't have that much wind today, so you should be able to, hopefully, what, we're going to try to do the show out here? No, try to do the entire show, land, that's what I do my hovering, and take off again, do a steep climb away, and then come back around, do a little bit more hovering. If I have some fuel, then we'll land. That's outstanding, and you're going to try to land it right out here then. Okay, outstanding. So you go, it was a great show yesterday, even better today. It's hard to believe. Well, there you go. That's Major Mike Smith, who's going to be doing the show for us. This terribly Lauderdale Air show last September up in Manchester, New Hampshire. And I had the pleasure of narrating that show. Matter of fact, I did a little film to go along with this airplane. The AC-11 to Camden going over here. Hope you got some suntan lotion for that. Somebody just asked me who owned it. It's owned by John Silverman from Tampa, and Jay Inyub from Tampa is flying the airplane. John's a Silverman from Tampa. John's a businessman from Tampa, and this particular AC-11 was built in 1943 as a Kansas. The Messerschmitt 208 we had flying by here, I knew we had this information here somewhere, belongs to Phil Applequist from Fort Lauderdale, who is in fact the builder. This was found in France in 1943 in jigs. It was down to refuel before they go home. The T-28s that are being flown here today The one that in the Navy colors, it's white, is flown by Dan Damio from Bridgewater, New Jersey. He's taking off actually behind you, but he wanted to take that off right into the wind. Comes on one of our T-50s back into the freeway. T-51 that comes off is all performed by first. The 826 today